America. How are you today? I'm Matthew Sabatine, your beloved host here on DeFuse the Ruse. I'm very pleased to be with you today. On this first episode of DeFuse the Ruse, I would like to share with you my intentions for creating this video and the many other subsequent videos that will become afterward. My intention is to share with you a unique perspective about political issues that are affecting our American society, issues that are affecting you, issues that are affecting me, and our families. I would like to share with you a unique perspective about any newsworthy events that you might be interested in, and that I most certainly am very much interested in. I want to share with you a perspective that you most likely will not receive from any of the mainstream media news organizations, whether they be Fox News, CNBC, MSNBC, any major mainstream news media organization you can think of. I intend today, before I begin this episode, I would like to felicitate or congratulate the Seahawks. The Seattle Seahawks for winning Sunday night's Super Bowl game. I am not a Seahawks fan, but I would like to give notice to them for having such an unprecedented performance, playing a spectacular game. I would like to give you my respects. And now to discuss this issue that I see as being significant. Recently, last week, three prominent bankers, well, not bankers, but banking executive directors of three major banking institutions allegedly committed suicide last week. Gabriel McGee was an executive director for the corporate investment and technology team at JP Chase, the JP Morgan Chase Command Center in London. The Daily Mail reported earlier last week that at the age of 39, Gabriel threw himself from atop a 500-foot building on Tuesday at 8 a.m. and was found on the 9th floor roof, which surrounds the Canary Wharf skyscraper. Truthfully, folks, I'm having difficulty believing that he, a most likely well-paid man specializing in software technology, that provided the company with prescience or foresight, foreknowledge about financial market patterns, which obviously accommodated or assisted them with how to gain colossal or huge profits for themselves. I'm having difficulty believing that a man of this type would suddenly one day decide to commit suicide. The story about this death of a technological software expert in foretelling market patterns was according to the Daily Mail, he was in a happy relationship with a long-term girlfriend and was thought to be planning a family with her. He settled an agreement with his bosses that he would work for 4 days a week instead of 5 days a week. His father defined him as being content as they conversed a fortnight ago. Those words are being quoted by McGee's father in this Daily Mail article. It was said by the Daily Mail article that the man was in good standing with his bosses and colleagues. He was very much approved of and well accepted by his colleagues. He decided to throw himself from a building, a 500-foot top building. That is the first banking executive I would like to make mention about. In the same week that he allegedly committed suicide, another man by the name of William Broeksmit, at the age of 58, he was a former banking executive director of Deutsche Bank in Germany, and he was found dead in his London home. He was found hanging. That is the word that is used in the Daily Mail article about him. He was found hanging in his London home by the authorities. The authorities are deciding still to treat this case as being unsuspicious. They're deeming it as being unsuspicious. William finished his work at the bank during February of 2013. He was selected as the head of risk optimization, or he was the head manager of risks being taken in the company. He was selected as the head of Deutsche Bank in 2008, and prior to that, in 2001, he was an independent consultant on risk management. In 1996, he was involved in the Deutsche Bank over-the-counter derivatives, and prior to that, from 1984 to 1996, he was involved with Merrill Lynch's fixed income derivatives dealings. Now, why would another most likely vocationally successful and wealthy individual decide to commit suicide during the same week as another corporately high-positioned man in the same town? Now, a third banking executive individual, 50-year-old Mike Duker, a 5-year-long high-ranking economist for the Russell Investments Institution, is another man who on January 29th was, quote, according to a IB Times, no, I'm sorry, not an IB Times article. The IB Times article is the article I used for reading about William Broeksmit. This article about Mike Duker I found is an article from Bloomberg. Bloomberg.com, according to Bloomberg.com, Mike Duker was found dead on the side of a highway that leads to Tacoma Narrows Bridge in Washington State. Ed Troyer, the investigator from the Sheriff's Department of Pierce County, is also deeming his death as being non-suspicious. He is also treating it as though Mike Duker committed suicide. Mike was responsible for probing or examining boom and bust cycles within the economy and identifying fluctuations in economic production and trade purposefully for auguring or predicting future economic trends and prices. So this tells me that he was quite privy to, he was very knowledgeable about matters that most other people in the company did not know about. Throughout the past 2 decades, he was an essayist. He wrote essays about monetary policy. Laura Gurich, if I'm pronouncing her name correctly, another spokesman for the company, stated that he worked for the St. Louis Federal Reserve Regional Bank from 1991 to 2008, starting as an entry-level research economist, then advancing to senior economist, research officer, and assistant vice president. I quoted that from the Bloomberg article. William Poole, who presided over the regional bank from 1998 to 2008, said, quote, "He was a valued colleague of mine during my entire tenure at the St. Louis Federal Reserve, and everyone respected his professional skills and good sense." I should make mention that the Northwestern Mutual Life Insurance Company is the firm that merged with and is parenting Russell Investments, a company that is administering over or handling $246 billion and is responsible for reckoning, figuring, and calculating benchmark indexes, or to define benchmark indexes, they are standard models and measuring sticks for appraising or examining the value and worth of various securities, assets, mutual funds, very vital instruments used in banking institutions. They manage the Russell 3000, folks. The Russell 3000. Search for that on Wikipedia.com. Search for it on Investopedia.com. Search for the definition of what that is. This is momentous, folks. So if there was any corruption occurring within Russell Investments among their employees, their clientele, their traders, the CEO, the executive directors of Russell Investments wanted to keep those those details of corruptions surreptitious or away from the scrutiny and examination of the public as well as private eyes. These are matters that Mike would have been privy to or very well knowledgeable about, folks. And perhaps he wanted to expose these significant corrupt details in which his affluent counterparts and superiors did not want him to expose, either to the public or news media organizations, private eyes, people in the government, or his family members. They did not want him to say anything. Maybe this was the cause of his death. I'm not saying it is, but I want you to question this, folks. I want you to search beyond the surface. I know these events may not particularly fascinate you or engross you or grab your attention, but as we continue forward in life, as we read about more and investigative reports, as you continue to watch my show in later episodes, as I continue talking about these significant events with banks and how banks work and what they do, whether or not they are conniving, colluding with each other, they're selling toxic assets, they're bundling these assets and selling them to people, investors, potential home buyers, homeowners. When I discuss the Federal Reserve, I want you to keep this in question. It is awe-striking to see that now, in the month of February, a corporate supervisor of the technological management team in J.P. Morgan Chase, Gabriel McGee, allegedly committed suicide after November of last year, when the Justice Department decided to bring the banking Leviathan, the corporate Leviathan, under criminal audit and, quote, according to this Justice Department website that I found, it was announced, a $13 billion settlement was announced with the banking Leviathan to, quote, resolve federal and state civil claims arising out of the packaging, marketing, sale, and issuance of residential mortgage-backed securities by J.P. Morgan, Bear Stearns, and Washington Mutual prior to January 1st in 2009. This report says J.P. Morgan acknowledged that they lied and finagled for the trust of investors and home buyers, having them believe that the bundled toxic loans that were sold to them complied with underwriting guidelines, meaning people who have the most expert knowledge about residential mortgage-backed securities, the biggest experts who had the most knowledge about these and whether or not they were securitized and safe, they gave their approval. J.P. Morgan employees, the Justice Department website says that J.P. Morgan employees were aware of the loans not being meant for securitization, not being safe. And because of J.P. Morgan employees being knowledgeable of the stratagem or the corrupt plot, it might be safe to wonder if this presupposes or should be a reason for suspicion that Gabriel McGee was also knowledgeable. And maybe he wanted to expose the truth about this and somebody did not want him to. I want you to keep that in question, folks. And as I leave you now with the ending of this first episode, I want you to also research about the Deutsche Bank having been brought under criminal investigation a number of times, many times, throughout the past 5 years since the global systemic financial collapse. They have been brought under criminal investigation many times. I want you to consider this. I want you to think about this, folks, please. What does all of this mean? And as I conclude this episode, I would like you to thank you for watching. Thank you for watching this, folks. And good night.